All right, welcome to the October 4th Parks Commission meeting. First order of business is to approve some meeting minutes. Lynn, I saw you send them out, but I don't know which one. Did you send July and August? Just July?
I didn't do August yet.
Okay.
I'm working on it.
So can I get a motion to approve July's meeting minutes?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
You're gonna abstain? Okay,
I wasn't there.
No.
all right.
Aye.
No,
Oh.
Emily's
Oh,
abstaining.
yeah, because she wasn't here.
Just as clarification, you still can accept them because you're not voting on accuracy, you're just accepting the minutes, not a,
Oh, okay.
So,
That's helpful.
but-
Thank you, Jim.
you don't have to, yeah.
Oh, really? Okay, thank you.
Do you want us to sign this? Do you have one to sign, or do you want us to sign this one up here?
Oh, you can sign this one. It doesn't matter.
There you go. All right, Steve, you have a treasurer's report once you're done signing this?
Field account, we have $15,540.55, and that includes two of the new deposits, Lynn?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Recreation account, we have $5,978.34. Pride Park, we have $536.37. They are spending that on expenses down there, so they're spending out of this one right now.
Okay,
That's, I got a sheet here that shows you what they bought.
No, they're not spending out of the revolving.
The,
The 536 is the revolving. They can't spend out of that. That has to come to the board.
no, the other one they are.
Okay, all right.
yeah, the one that's in the DPW, yeah. DPW Parks Maintenance line item is $14,591.28. And there's a problem with some bills that they paid. They paid for street paint.
Out of this one?
Out of our budget, so we got about $3,200 coming back to us once I talk to Kevin.
Okay.
So it'll be up around 18,000.
All right.
No, excuse me, 17,000. DPW fertilizer, 14,647.62. DPW Pride Park, that's the one they're spending the money out of for the Pride Park renovation, 1,444.50. And the recreational director's account is 12,915. And we received two payments, one for youth soccer for $3,680, and Teka Karate for $625. And those were included in the field account sum up at the top. That's it.
All right, thank you. Anybody have any questions for Steve? All right. Community input. No one from the community here. We'll move on. I didn't get anything from the rec director, but I know that she's working on Fall Fest. That's all I have for that. We do have the Fall Fest permit that was submitted by the Celebrations Committee. I have all the signatures. The scarecrows in the common will start on the 7th and run through the 31st, and Fall Fest is the 22nd of October. 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. is the permit. I'm thinking part of that is set up and tear down. I don't know the exact hours. They asked for 8 trash containers with liners, and I've been in conversation with Kevin so that the Celebrations Committee will have to pay for this, but we'll get a dumpster for them down near the DPW area so they can run trash back and forth so that it's not filling up, because Kevin's concern was 8, based on last year, 8 trash barrels is not gonna be enough with everything that's coming. So they'll have a lot of trash, they'll have 8 barrels, but there'll be people in charge of shuttling those trash bags.
Do we pay separate for a dumpster if we get it, or is that part of the contract?
It'll be, Kevin sent me some prices, I forwarded it to Pat Crowley, who's the requester of the permit.
Yeah.
So
They don't give us any dumpsters for free, it's not included in the.
I don't think so, no,
contract. Yeah.
no. So, but Kevin was able to get us
I mean,
prices,
they
so.
have a dumpster at the DPW. that we-
Yeah, but Kevin
Pull
doesn't,
that out.
Kevin doesn't want that being used by non-DPW personnel, and it's kind of tucked back, not.
It's in the back, yes.
So,
yeah.
so therefore, a separate dumpster would be beneficial.
No way we could put it anywhere up near the Fall Fest, rather than having.
Yeah, it was talked about, we think it would be better not there.
People gonna put stuff in it.
Not even that, it's just so, it's so packed with vendors and everything else going on, it would be better if it was just was somewhere else.
I think they're probably gonna use that DPW yard for parking too, so.
Yeah, maybe.
put it
How many
off to the
people are
side
we
somewhere, or It
anticipating?
won't be in the way.
There was a lot.
They
last
put
year.
700 on the permit, there was a lot last year, it was,
Okay.
yeah,
A lot.
very well attended.
I was amazed when I drove by, It's holy cow.
Yeah, because it had taken, a bit of a hiatus at a time. It used to happen a while back, and, any kind of thing that happens year after year tends to build momentum. Whenever you have like a break, sometimes there's a loss in the momentum, but it didn't seem that this was that affected by that.
That's good. People are ready to come out, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Good.
So can I get a motion to approve this?
I'll make the motion.
I get a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
They find enough parking?
Think so. I know my kids go to CCD, and that's on Saturdays, and they sent a message out about parking on that particular day, so it'll be very hectic over there, so I think
That's gonna
they've
be
worked out
busy.
with the church and others, and, yeah. I mean, there's plenty of parking if you wanna walk,
Yeah.
It's not so much
Well,
a close
you
parking,
Get out
but,
into the neighborhoods, and sometimes
Yeah.
people get upset about it.
but, down there's a part of Newton Street and Church Street, and then what's the other street that wraps around there?
That's Church Street on the other
Yeah,
side.
so, there's a lot of room, but, and then the other church,
Oh,
yeah.
you don't know, there's plenty of places where they can
Right.
talk to the people.
I didn't get a update per se from Kevin on the outstanding, items, although there's nothing really crazy here. There's the baseball irrigation, the high school baseball irrigation, the fence netting, the overseeding, which probably should become a springtime activity. Tennis court cleanout cover, last I knew he was still looking for something. That's all I have.
That aeration, vibration, overseeding, that is overseeding there, not overseeing.
Oh, yeah, there's missing a D.
The practice fields, that got done, but we need to do it again in the spring, so.
Okay.
I don't know, you can either leave it on there or we'll put it on after the first of the year.
Yeah. Anything else for the DPW director?
Well, I've got some complaints. I mean, the parks are terrible. I mean, we got the summer house, if you go up there, there's weeds all over the place, there's poison ivy all over the place, there's trash all over the place, there's trees that are down that haven't been picked up. It's just, it's really bad.
So we should get this on a list and get it over to him. I will say that I got feedback from Little League and women's softball about the, conditions of the fields, and, had forwarded them off. One of the women's softball complaints I think we should address here as well is that softball field really should have a good couple inches of dirt stripped off of it and removed
In the infield,
in the infield. It is so old and it's just fine and powdery, and there's no like traction on it. I mean, if it's wet, it's fine, but I mean, we're not wetting the field, and we really should get new material put into.
we put a lot of material down this year, clay.
Yeah, I think the
But
problem
I
is
got
you
a
gotta
feeling-
remove some of the
Well, I
old
got a
stuff.
feeling maybe the clay isn't as good as it should be.
Maybe, but I was
Not many
coaching on it the
places
last
you can
couple of
get it.
years, and it was not good. I mean, when you go to rake it into place, it just becomes almost like a powder.
Dust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Graves up in Winchington is the only one that carries this stuff, so we're
So,
kind
but-
of stuck.
But my point is we need to get rid of what's there. We have to like
Yeah,
pull
but
it
it
out.
needs-
We
you're
can't
not
just
getting
keep
good
adding.
clay.
Yeah, we need to take an inch or two off and then add it.
And that would be a spring project,
Yeah.
yeah.
But that's, that should be an easy thing that can be done early on. We're not trying to plant grass or do anything else, so it should be very easy to pull some material out and put some material on. It's not like, it's not like trying to do the infield at a baseball field where you have grass and stuff to grow and things like
Yep.
that.
Yep.
So we should add that to, a future agenda item.
I've got a description of how they mix the clay. That's from Graves, and I'm gonna look at it. I know there's sand in it, and that may be part of the problem. But if it's not satisfactory, we're probably gonna have to find some other place to get it. Otherwise, we're just gonna be pulling stuff out and putting the same stuff back in again.
Yeah.
What was the Little League complaint?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Okay.
I sent him the list, but, grass not being mowed and weeds and I was driving by, the street and that little, I don't know, area by the wall was all overgrown.
Okay.
I mean, it was just,
Yeah.
the maintenance, the general maintenance was not great this season.
Yep. Okay.
And for a period of time, there really wasn't a lot to mow. I mean, even though we were watering, because it was so dry, the grass wasn't growing that rapidly, so, they
Yeah, it
shouldn't
was
have
so
been,
dry.
they shouldn't have been catching up on mowing.
Yeah, okay.
I've gotten complaints from high school soccer that Woodland wasn't mowed, so then they went and mowed that. So, I mean, these are things that are coming to us and that I'm relaying to Kevin, but I feel that we really shouldn't have to be doing that kind of stuff. This is regular maintenance that they should be doing, so.
What does Kevin say about it? Does he feel he needs more help?
He didn't respond, he just, it happened to be, I was going through a meeting with, Kevin and Jen at Pride Park that morning, and he said, they were out mowing this morning, so he just answers my request, but, I just feel that we shouldn't have to be putting these requests out.
We, at one point, not at one point in time, a while ago, we had 3 people in the parks during the busy season, which was April 1st to October 31st.
And as we should, and that's something I
Now
can,
we only have 2,
We have 2 plus the director.
so we shot 40 hours a week.
yeah,
That's a
well,
lot of time.
and this is, so we have a new town administrator now that I can bring
Yeah.
that up
I was
with.
just
The
gonna- that's
prior
right,
town
right.
administrator always said that we would have our 3 people. So whether that happens or not, I will,
Well, what she said was that they hired another person, and they were gonna use them some time in the DPW and sometimes in the parks. But
Right,
it
so
ends
we
up
didn't
they
need a-
spend most
we
of
didn't
their
need
time
a
in the
seasonal.
DPW.
yeah, we didn't need a seasonal person because that person was gonna be added as a full-time throughout the year, but we didn't get that
And
person
that'll work if
allocated.
they do it right.
Right, but like you're saying, they didn't allocate that person to the park for, the, basically April to November.
I think the other thing you gotta remember is it was so dry, and then when it rained, all of a sudden the grass
And
grew a lot.
everything came up
I
fast.
don't,
Yeah, it's true.
because I know, I saw them playing on Woodland, I know it was a little long, I didn't think it was
Well, I guess.
unplayable.
Yeah,
But
I
at the
don't know
same
if it was
time-
unplayable, but it was extremely long, so.
But they lined it all summer.
I was wondering about
I have
that.
no idea
I asked
why.
him that, and I wasn't sure if they kept lining it,
Just
or
the-
if it just,
Oh,
because
no.
the grass
They-
wasn't, they were
They were
lining it.
lining it the whole time.
But actually, if you think about it, in the long run, it might almost be better, because
Well, the
you don't
only
have to
thing,
lay it out. It takes them a long time to lay those fields out.
yeah, but they
I've
only have
watched
to do
them.
it once a season if they do it right, you know what I mean? So, it does take a long time to lay it
How
out,
often
right?
are they lining it, every week or?
No, once every 3 weeks.
But it was something that I noticed, I'm like, why is the
Yeah, I
paint
did
still
too.
there?
Right.
So, so hopefully it didn't cost us a lot of money in paint.
Probably did.
That's my issue is,
Paint's
the paint's
Just to do
expensive,
that
so.
Right.
over and over
I
and
I
over
thought it was,
again for no
because it's
reason.
never been lined during the
Yeah.
summer, ever.
So,
Just keep that in mind.
yeah.
And you can always tell Kevin not to do it, and it's too bad they can't mark the corners of the field somehow. They could put probably something metal in the ground for each corner and get a metal detector and find them, and then go from there, that would give.
Well, I
that's
think
all
they
they
try to,
need.
they also usually try
Shift
to
it.
shift it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
Because what
there's-
happens
Which
is
is not
because of the
happening
goals,
if
it
they
wears
just keep
out.
painting.
So
Yeah.
if they keep painting it, it's gonna definitely.
The
wear
whole
out
middle
where
of the
they
field
go.
is pretty worn
Oh,
right
it's
now
pretty
too.
nasty.
Or is this Woodland?
But you also gotta remember high school and middle school practice on it.
Oh, I
And if
forgot
it's a
they
day like
practice on
today,
it, yeah.
they don't cancel practice. They go and
Right.
play on it when they really shouldn't.
Well, we used to
Well,
go
they cancel when
around,
it's really bad, but
we used to go around and when we got rain and, check the fields, and if they were too wet, we'd call the high school and say, hey, you're not going on them today.
Right.
But we don't do that anymore.
Because they use it for practice, and then when the town goes to play on it for, games for the weekend, that's when we've got complaints from the refs that they're not.
Yep.
practices, they should be spreading out. I mean, there's no reason that they have to use it as a
Outdoor
game
gym,
field
right?
all the time for all practices. There's several drills that can be done in different
Elsewhere,
areas
right.
of the field and be
Right.
moved around.
They only know one spot. I don't know what it is, but
They migrate.
Yeah, they don't.
football teams the same way.
So, what do you wanna do? You wanna send me that, you wanna just give me the list, or do you want to?
No, I'll go, we just answered a lot of the things that are on. I just write things down as I think of them, otherwise I'll forget them.
All right.
But the whole thing is, the whole park is a mess, really.
So I think we
I've
should
got
just
people
kinda
telling
sum
me
it up
that.
is from a maintenance perspective.
What do you consider, what's the summer house?
Up top,
Pavilion
like
up above,
above the
yeah.
basketball
Oh, where the
courts.
pavilion is?
Yeah, you know where the basketball
Yeah,
courts
yeah,
are,
yeah,
just
yeah.
up above it.
Yeah, okay.
It's really a mess up there, and it shouldn't be. It's all parks there.
I think we should just set an expectation that there's certain maintenance items through the park that they should know. If we have to meet with them to go over a maintenance list.
Gave them a list years ago, and I think it went in the circular file as soon as I
Well,
walked
there's new
out.
people, right?
Yeah, it's,
No, I gave it to the DPW director.
this current one?
No.
Oh,
That's what I
I'm saying.
mean, like, there's,
The-
you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
you
so
gotta,
let's-
get,
let's-
you know,
let's give it to him again and-
reestablish and,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's common sense. You walk around, you see something,
Well,
You
there
say-
should be a schedule, there should be work orders, there
Yeah.
should be some structure with how things are getting done in the park, and there should be some accountability. And I've been saying this forever, so,
Yeah,
they maybe should set up a separate section of the park each day of the week and work in that area and take care of whatever
yeah, well, that
needs to
should
be
be up
taken
for
care of.
the foreman to
Yeah, I know that.
manage.
I know that.
So
Yeah,
that's
I know
where I think we need to, we have a fairly new DPW director and now a new town administrator who's gonna,
But if we could get some more help, that would be great.
I definitely agree, we need a
The
third
third
person.
guy, what he did was, mostly was mow, weed whack, and pick up trash.
yeah, which are the things that are falling
And I don't
short.
know who's doing the lining, but whoever's doing it is doing a great job.
That's
as
Derek.
far as-
Yeah,
Both Derek and
Yeah.
Ian, yeah.
Yeah.
They're both, Ian is just a little, he's just learning, but Derek knows what he's doing.
I mean, not that I'm not involved with soccer, but I've been down there because my daughter refs for the soccer, and the fields are, lined great and.
Yeah, I mean,
everything
that stuff has
else,
been
yeah.
being kept up, which is good.
Keith's
because-
done a good job keeping up with that, so.
And that may be why they're not doing other things, because they don't really, they spend more time on the lining to make it right.
Yeah, that I
make
don't
it
know,
look good.
yeah.
And other stuff doesn't get done because we don't have the third guy, or a person,
Right.
could be anybody.
All right. You good?
Let me see what else I got here. Court lights, did we do that?
It's next.
Oh, okay. That's it, that's all I got for him.
All right.
I have a random question. Why do we line the fields in yellow?
There was we had, where?
The U6 soccer fields on Woodland, Goodale are yellow.
So we use two different colors at the high school to distinguish, football and soccer.
Yeah, of course.
And then we've done multiple colors at Woodland when we've had multiple size fields.
Okay,
So it's a possibility that it's about excess paint,
okay.
right? Instead of buying a whole bunch of white, is it problematic or?
There's some forms of color blindness that the kids can't distinguish the yellow and the green.
Oh, okay.
So what would be the preferred color?
I'll bring it up to a next, I don't know if we want to add it to a meeting. Yeah, I mean, white's preferred because they can make the contrast,
Yeah.
but let me not raise it as an issue if it doesn't need to be, but,
Yeah,
let me
let me
look
know,
into
because we
it
could- we
because
could
it's
add to
something to
it.
be thinking about, just, because it would have implications for.
Because Woodland's had all three on it before. It's had white, blue, and yellow.
Yeah.
For the three
Yeah.
different ones that we
Yeah.
needed.
Let me just confirm what colors are
But for the
cool,
last
like
couple,
better.
for the last
better.
couple of years, U8 and U6 have had yellow. And I know I had a couple of people complain last year and they said, you know, why is it yellow? It should be white. I said, well,
Oh, it makes sense if there's extra paint.
I don't know if there's extra paint. No, I just said, just be happy that the field's aligned.
Yeah, I'm bringing it up because my 5-year-old is colorblind and I can tell he can't
He
see.
can't see it?
can't distinguish.
Yeah,
So we're
okay.
having him line up, like do the, like circle up and run on the lines. And now granted, he's distracted at the best of times, but he's like, you know, and I think it's like an issue. He can't see the yellow against the
Okay.
green. It's not, the contrast isn't strong enough, I think. But there's stuff on it. So
Okay.
I'll figure it out and I'll bring it
Maybe
back.
we should have Emily put together a instruction sheet on what colors to use when she finds out what.
That's
they
right, yeah, I can look it up
If
and
that,
then.
the DPW
Right, and
director.
it's not an emergency by any
I know
stretch
on
of
Woodland, they
imagination,
always do the biggest field is always white,
White,
because
yeah.
Cause that's the most, yeah.
that's the most
Yeah.
used. And then
Right.
they, usually the next size down is yellow,
Yeah.
and then the smallest was
Yeah.
blue. I actually liked the blue the best. I could see the blue
You
the
can
best,
see the blue
you know,
the best,
but
yeah.
it didn't
The
matter to
blue,
me.
yeah, I don't.
Didn't matter to me. We
I know
haven't
the
used
red-
blue
there's
in a
the
long
red
time.
green colorblind, and then
That's-
the all color, but I can definitely see the
Right.
yellow mixing in with the green.
With the green, yeah, so I'll look into it. It might leave us with no paint options, so that's not good either, so.
Or maybe they're just
right.
using up all the paint they have in stock, who knows?
Yeah, it could be
Yeah.
that too.
We had a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
just
yellow
noticed
paint
it,
at
cause,
one
and
time.
it,
Yeah.
and you know, after a week, it's like starts to fade and it does.
Right.
It's more so than the white, so I was just curious
Yeah.
about the yellow, so I'll look into it, I'll bring it back.
Okay.
Yeah, non-emergency.
We do have, Kevin brought it up, there's one of the bucket seats in the small Pride Park area is damaged.
On the town side,
Yeah.
can't we take the one from the,
Um,
there was one on the side that they're working on, we could take that one and put it over there for the time being and then
Yeah.
just.
Until it
look at
gets
the-
fixed.
yeah, we might be able
replaced.
to do that, or if that can't be done, do we wanna just have that replaced?
Oh, we're gonna have to replace it eventually, but I'd rather see it paid for but through, you know, some other source.
Yeah, right, so, alright,
Yeah.
And those seats aren't cheap, they're not.
Yeah, I also think it needs to be replaced, so like if that's not an option, then
If
we
there's one,
need
if
to
there's
like.
one they can replace it with, put the
is
other
it,
one on now.
is it the same size though, cause wasn't that area smaller?
So they'd have to look at it, but.
I think those seats are the,
I thought, well, cause that,
Like
it was
standard,
the
right?
2 to, well, that was the 2 to 5 area, and the other side was like the
Yeah.
5 to 12 area, so I'm not sure if.
Steve's right, though, there was like one of the buckets.
Alright, so,
Tell Kevin to look at it, and if
Yeah,
it's,
replace it with the bucket
if
if
it's
they
the
can.
wrong size, then we're gonna have to
so
buy one.
either use the other one or buy a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's for the town side,
Yeah,
so you're not working on that, so.
well, that's the thing, is we should
Yeah, we
keep-
can still
we should
take it
keep
out of
that
the,
open.
maybe we can take it out of our Pride Park account.
Okay,
That way can keep that 1,400, he's got control over that, so it makes it.
well, let's find out
convenient
what it costs them
for him.
first.
It's not
Yeah.
cheap, I'll tell you,
Yeah,
hold on to your breath.
well, the ones that we were putting in to the project were $1,000 a piece.
But were those the same bucket ones, or were they different?
Those were, I don't know, they were some kind of ADA swing.
Yeah, they're different, yeah, I think, yeah.
Alright, everybody's good on that?
Yeah,
Court lights. Do we want to shut them off during the week and keep them on weekends until November?
Yeah, I would, I mean.
So what do you wanna do, Friday,
we're
Saturday,
almost
Sunday
in
night?
November.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it'd be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Did we dim those down?
Yeah, they're all at 70% now.
Okay, all right.
I haven't had any complaints and from driving
They
by
look
when
fine.
you've been
Driving
on
by,
them.
I haven't,
They
I
do,
haven't
yeah,
noticed
they look
anything
fine.
different.
I'm thinking that we could maybe go even below 70, you know? It's easy, you can do it on your phone, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's,
but alright, so we'll get those changed and then,
you can do
So do
that
you-
on your phone too, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Do we wanna say November 1st,
Yeah.
they're off?
The basketball courts,
Or
yeah, I
do we
would
wanna
say
wait
so.
till our November meeting, which should be around this time in November?
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know with the weather now. I feel like
If it's
Well,
still
if
decent
If
out,
it's
It's
mild
decent,
enough,
yeah.
then it's fine.
We leave the basketball courts open all winter long,
Yeah,
but we close them if there's any ice or anything on them.
yeah, of course.
But the tennis courts, we close it right up, and we may wanna leave those open for a while.
Yeah. Well, I hate having to rely on a meeting to make the decision, because if, the first week of November is nice, and then all of a sudden, the week after, it's miserable, they should be
I
taken
think
out
you
before.
should, I think you should just make the decision. If the first week in November is good, keep them on, and after,
Well, the
if
thing
it
is,
turns nasty.
we want those poles and nets out and out of the tennis courts
Yeah.
before it freezes.
Before it freezes, they freeze in, you,
Oh, I see what I thought you were talking
So
about.
there's two different
No, no,
things.
basketball we
There's
leave
cla-
open all
It's
the time.
closing the tennis, and then it's
Yeah,
it's
so,
starting to shut the lights off.
right, so
Yeah.
probably in November, we'll have no lights.
Yeah.
So during the day, they can use the basketball courts as long as there's no snow or ice on it.
Yeah.
But at some point, we close the tennis courts and take the nets out.
people that are playing pickleball would like to see them, one year we left them open until December, so.
Well, if the weather's nice, then
Why
fine.
don't we just say that we'll leave them open as long as the weather is agreeable?
All right, well, who
Well, we'll
who has
wait,
the
and
decision
and
to
that'll take
tell
us
Kevin?
through our next, just tell them that, and we'll decide at our next meeting in November.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. All right.
And in the meantime, just, put the lights down for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Okay. All right. Old business. Starting with Mixter. The CPC has not had, the PFC has not had another meeting since, the CPC and the select board voted down funds for, adding funds to it, so, need to get in touch with Pat to schedule a meeting to see.
They both voted it down, the CPC
Well, so
as
there
well?
was two things that was gonna happen.
The
The
ARPA?
first was the ARPA, that was
Yeah.
voted down.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then the following, shortly thereafter, at the next CPC meeting, which was like a week later or something like that, the CPC voted down the, additional money for Mixter.
Where does that leave us?
Leaves us with potentially $802,000 of money, and the PFC needs to figure out what can be done with that.
Okay.
So we have to have another meeting to talk about it. I have a few ideas, and we'll have to just see what the rest of the committee thinks.
And that hasn't been used since,
Since the senior center was built.
okay. And it's unusable,
Pretty much,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Pride Park. I don't know how much any of you know. I gave an update at a school committee meeting. There was an update at a select board meeting. You guys want the whole update? I can give it again. You guys?
I heard you,
You heard, which one? The school committee?
school committee, yeah.
So, essentially, we had a plan. The DPW was supposed to do a certain amount of this work, which included relocation relocation of existing structures and installation of new structures in the process, and also preparing the base for the port-in-place. In the process of doing all of this, they realized that the grades are wrong based on the assumption that we were supposed to be able to lower, we'll call it the main structure, because it's the biggest one that has the ramp.
Yeah,
Problem is where it needed to be lowered to, once you start it, if you were to lower the ramp, then there's a, like another panel or the deck that you would roll onto that would need to be lowered as well, and then there's other steps, and once you put port-in-place, so I will correct some misinformation that came out of a select board meeting. Once the port-in-place is put in, you cannot dig it up again. If you do, it voids the warranty, and if you do, what will happen is you'll never get the footings and the foundation underneath the port-in-place proper, so it won't actually come back together properly. So once the port-in-place is in, the structures are in,
that's what we're
you're
committed to.
done.
Yeah,
So once you start lowering these things, then you get over to the drawbridge and the lily pads, and that stuff really can't be lowered. And then from there on, so some of the stuff might have been able to be lowered, others you can't. There's additional rot that was found on some steps of the structure that go into the port-in-place. At the time, I still don't think they have like a good number. I think there was roughly around $30,000 to replace some of these stuff.
Yeah.
And now the concern was on an 18-year-old piece of equipment, do we spend that kind of money to replace these structures? But if you don't, I mean, you have to do something before you put in port-in-place, because you can't put this in and then have this other structure. So,
Now, if we did those repairs, it still doesn't resolve the grade issue.
correct.
Okay.
So the grading needs to be redone,
Period.
period. And,
What, was the grading done wrong, or was it?
the grading was
Blueprint
done
goes
with the
wrong.
assumption that the structure could be lowered,
And it can't.
and it can't.
Yeah.
And there's other issues with lowering it too. Some of the clamps are not only bolted, but are riveted into the poles, so now you go to move it, and now you have holes
Yeah.
in these poles.
And that are then exposed to the elements.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was done based on a height that was given. There was many grades shot. Apparently, from what we were told, there's enough grades shot to redo it without excavating again. However, I won't go down that rat hole. It'll be part of my later update. So, in addition, the DPW has basically said we're not doing any more structure installs. This is beyond our expertise.
Yeah.
You know, if a company like O'Brien and Son comes in to do installs, they have professional installers, they have all extra pieces if they need it. They put these things in much quicker than the DPW can. It's not really best use of our resources. So at that point, there was a meeting with myself, the landscape architect, O'Brien and Son, Kevin, Jennifer, and Raj to kind of discuss where we would go. Well, in addition to that meeting, so before that, the CPC did vote to allocate the rest of the $150,000 that they said that they wouldn't. I guess the legalities behind that is they really didn't need to, because based on town meeting vote, we could have used the whole 250 plus the 150 that we got from Representative O'Day.
Okay.
There wasn't anything in the vote preventing us from it.
Was it verbal?
But the select, there's some members of the select board not comfortable allowing that to go, because they said it was a $250,000 project. They said they weren't gonna write any checks out in addition to 250 minus whatever the grants that came in. So they didn't feel comfortable doing anything without bringing it back to town meeting. So this article gets brought in front of the select board, and the select board voted not to bring it to the town meeting, mainly because they don't know what
don't
the
have an
actual cost is going to be. We don't know if the 400 is enough. We don't know what the real scope of the project is. The meeting that I was just referring to basically was to kind of it was an information gathering session to go over a bunch of different options. And the new town administrator is in the process of going out and looking for essentially a company that will do an engineering design and own the project to do implementation.
Okay.
Initial thoughts are,
With
We're-
project management.
correct.
Yeah.
So the initial thoughts are, we're gonna see what we can salvage of existing structures, but no one's really comfortable with putting port-in-place around equipment that is nearing the end of its life.
Correct.
So we need to figure all that out.
What's the life on the port in place?
I think it was around 20 years, if I remember. It had a 7-year warranty. But
Somebody told me 10 years.
and I think it's longer than 10 years, but the warranty is only 7. That's what Colin had said. So that I know for a fact, but I wasn't sure what the...
That's if it's maintained.
Well, it's supposedly very low maintenance, so...
You have to wash it, hose it down, then, there's a lot of things you gotta do with it. I don't think are gonna get done.
Well, I don't think it's as much maintenance as bark mulch.
I think the bark mulch is less because we just used to come in with
Well,
60,
no.
80 yards of it and spread it around.
Yeah, but it wasn't less, because what needed to happen is it needed to be raked almost daily, because once,
They didn't do it.
I know, which means it wasn't being maintained, and there is a lot of maintenance that should have happened with the bark mulch that was not, so it's not,
Is
there was a
bark
lot
mulch
of.
illegal in a playground now?
No,
So why,
it's actually, so, because of what we're talking about, it is an acceptable, surface. It's not desired, but it meets the criteria as long as it's maintained. The problem is you put it under a play area, or we use a swing as the best example, and kids swing. Now you've got this big groove, and someone has to go pull it back, because it also has certain depths that need to be met, which we were in violation for before, right? And we've always been. And even if you raked it back into place to, get it to the right depths, a couple hours of playing, and now it's not.
so could we have put, instead of the poured in place left the bark mulch and just put asphalt walkways through there so that the handicapped kids could get around? Would
I
that
don't think
have
so.
passed the muster? No?
And I don't think you're saving anything. So.
In
So
your fathers in my day, we used to play on gravel.
Yeah, look at the two of you.
I think that sums up, to the best of my recollection, where we are at Pride Park. So,
So,
um,
we're looking at the whole school year closed.
yeah, I don't see it. Well, so,
Well,
that was
right,
another,
freeze, I mean,
another piece
yeah.
that I left out
Yeah.
was, even if they were gonna go forward with getting,
There's
first of all, the
nothing-
lead times on these parts were 8 to 10 weeks.
Yeah. They're not gonna
It
get
was
anything done.
extremely expensive. And if we did get by the time we got the parts, it was cold to put the pour in place in.
Okay.
That
So
was another piece that I
what's gonna happen with the vote that the CPC took? Is that gonna just sit there, or are we gonna have to do
it's-
it again?
No, it's gonna sit there, cause it's there.
Yeah.
It's valid. I don't know the position, I'm assuming the position hasn't changed, that the select board feels that we said it's a $250,000 project, so we're not gonna write out checks for more than the 100,000, cause we got the 150. I don't think that's changed, or will change until it goes to a town meeting, if that's the case. But I do think that they're gonna look for another funding source.
And really, we're looking to get the information on how much it will actually cost. to
Yeah,
do
we
it.
need a person who's gonna own the project to
Yeah.
basically say, and potentially resurvey it themselves, cause they might not trust what was done before.
Yeah,
I also brought up that we need to make sure that everything is considered, especially with the surveying, because there is a this is a multi-phase project, and
Yeah.
the grades need to match across.
yeah.
So that needs to be addressed as well.
So what's the perspective on the finish date? Next year sometime?
Well, that was one thing that came out of this meeting, which is good, is when we hire a company like that, you can set one. And they usually meet it. If not, then there's penalties or whatever. So I'm hoping that when push comes to shove and we get this information, that it'll be open prior to next school year, if not
Why,
sooner.
why didn't the select board let the CPC's decision go to town meeting and just live with it, and if it didn't?
Because they're worried that it was, they're worried collectively, and I think so is the town administrator, and I guess I agree, that the 400 isn't enough.
Yeah,
And they don't wanna
Yeah.
keep going and going and going. They want to get a real number and get the project.
so,
think
yeah,
that's what it
'cause-
comes down to.
I mean, we have a real issue with public trust at this
If you get
point. I mean, we
additional-
have all these projects out there that are not finished, right?
If you get
So-
additional funding, that was gonna be on top of the 400,000.
No, the ask was to allow for the whole 250 to be used. That was the only ask.
No, but you've got the $150,000 grant from the state, and you're gonna get 250 from the CPC.
Right,
That's all in place.
right.
So all you were asking was to increase the CPC grant by $150,000.
No, well, no. The 250 that was in place, it was stated by some select board members that, yeah, they weren't going to exceed a $250,000 project. So that $250 that was given from the CPC, any additional grant money that was issued would be used first, and the CPC would only fund up to whatever the $250,000. So they were only going to fund $100,000 out of the CPC.
That was the original setup.
That was 100 of the 250, because we got 150 from the state.
Yeah. They were putting a cap on the whole
Right.
project
It was
at
never a
250.
400,000.
period.
I
Correct.
thought we were taking it back to the town for a revote on what we did when we funded.
So we
it.
didn't. So we don't need to revote it, because the vote is legal as is to use the whole 250. The thing was taking it back to the town to. They were going to revote it, but to make sure that now the public knows that it's a $400,000 project. The select board voted not to go forward with this because they don't know if it's a $400,000 project. And I really don't blame them, because kind of to what Emily was just alluding to, there's too many unknowns, there's too much misinformation, and too many things kind of being floated out without any kind of backing. So at least if we go with this engineering company,
Yeah.
and they're gonna own it, and they're gonna,
And we have to raise funds to get to where we gotta get.
we need a funding source of some sort. I mean,
Yeah.
right now, we've expended the 150, we've
Yeah.
bought structures that
We
we
have the
will
rubber.
still be able to use, and we've bought some of the port in place.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
that stuff has already been, that money's been used, but we need the remaining money.
If you don't get additional funding and you have to come to the CPC for money, that means it's gotta go to the Maytown meeting,
Understood.
which could take the thing all the way out through the summer, depending
Understood.
on.
Is there any way to put it back?
I'm just thinking
so it
about
can
the
be
finish
used
date.
right now?
No. I'm sorry?
I was just thinking about the finish date, you know? I mean,
I-
you
I'm
probably-
with you.
You probably would make it for September for the schools, you know, when they go back, but
I definitely voiced that, and I think everybody understands that, so that is on everybody's radar, they do know this.
not only that, but the kids are wrecking our baseball fields.
I know.
They're all out there in droves, doing what kids do. So, it is what it is.
This is largely superficial, but I do think that there's something to be said that, you know, all the kids are around it, everyone's driving by it every day. It's this like gaping wound in the middle of town. Like, do we wanna, and I talked to Jennifer about this briefly, do we wanna put something up to like wrap part of the fence or like put information? Like, I just think that it's causing a tremendous amount of conflict and ill will in town. We're a small place. You know, I mean, I personally have a kindergartner there who asks me every day about the playground, and he doesn't know what but like, I don't know, right? So like, I don't know. I think I'm just asking, like, what can we do to start to bring the town back together around the, Pride Park, around the issue, so that like we can communicate effectively. And I do.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be regular updates at select board meetings and here. I think it's really caught the attention of,
I think if people are interested, they'll tune into select board meetings and the parks.
yeah, I mean,
I think I'm less concerned with the people who are interested in watching and able to like keep up with the complexities around it, and more concerned with the folks that aren't and are like, not tuning in but hearing things. And it is complex, like moving this stuff through the town and getting the funding for it and doing everything that needs to be done. There's a lot of people who have the same end goal, but like, I just think that it's complicated to communicate to everyone, and that it's time consuming. Like, I spent
Yeah.
time this week like catching up on meetings and like doing stuff like that. That's like hours of time. So it might not be the space here, but like, I do think as like the people who are overseeing the parks, that like we have some level of responsibility to like try to be as transparent as possible. And as a full-time parent, working full-time parent, volunteering in town, like, you run out of time. So like, what can we do to help people kind of start to understand that like this is not a fixed state, like the town's working on it.
do you have a recommendation?
I don't know. I mean, I came up with wrapping the fence. I came up with
I've got
wrapping the
an
fence.
idea.
Like,
Why don't we put together some type of a letter as a handout, either through the schools or through the tax bills or,
That's fine, I want it to come from
to-
town administrator's office.
yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know what we can do to push to
I
support
mean,
that,
there's a lot
but
of
like,
people that aren't interested in it, like Carol and I, we don't have any kids, so.
no, that's
But if you
fair.
did it through the school,
Right.
and the kids got it home, that's one of the problems. Sometimes you put it in their backpack and it doesn't make it home.
I wanna make sure that,
We want to make it accurate and,
and I don't want it to,
clear.
I don't want it to look like the school owns it,
right,
cause they don't.
yeah.
The other alternative is what's the town local newspaper now? Problem is, it isn't like the Banner used to be, you know, and it doesn't get the circulation around.
There's
here
never
that it used to
anything in
get.
there about West Boylston. I
Nobody
canceled
puts
mine,
anything in.
I told them, I said, we got, you know, Ken shows up at the school committee meetings, takes notes, there's never an article. You
Yeah.
know, like, so,
And then post it on the website.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can do it on the website.
Send it out and post it on the website.
let me,
Put a thing on the
And
board.
I'm happy to
down.
help with it, like, but, and keep thinking about it. I don't
I'll
know.
talk with Jen about.
There's some
having
productive
a-
spaces to get information out and unproductive spaces to get information
Agreed.
out.
You could
Right?
put-
And I'm just wondering if there's something we can do that says like, coming, you know,
We could use some of those unproductive areas to put some productive messaging and pointers to where it is.
I think, that no, I mean, I do
put
think
it
that
on the
there's a
town
way,
web
like, I
down
do
there. Give them a
think,
website
Yeah,
and
all right, let me
Yeah.
talk with Jen
Yeah.
offline and, we'll come up with a,
explain the whole thing.
like I said, I want her to come up with the messaging and, you know, come from her office and we'll find a way to post it somewhere, I think.
okay, great, thank you.
All right. Anything on the dugout roofs for the high school?
I talked to the guys, they're right out straight. I mean, I think we've been put on the back of the list, but, they can't do it this fall. And I kinda didn't want them because we didn't know what was gonna happen with the, you know, the water bill. If we don't get that money for the water, there's no way we're gonna be able to do the dugouts.
That's the next couple of
So I agreed with them that we would put it off until next spring and possibly, because spring is when the baseball team starts, unless they can get started early and get it done, which I highly doubt.
Just, if they're gonna do that, can you just make sure that it's not gonna interfere with
Yeah,
them
but
using it?
I also said to them, maybe we should wait until the fall. So, they're still
That's
interested
the
in
problem
doing it.
is that, so we either they do it in the spring as long as it's not gonna interfere with baseball, or it's gonna have to be fall because the kids go to summer break. So maybe try to get on like first thing in the fall, say, can we get in fall of
But I mean,
'23?
I'm at their mercy, you know, right now, they've got a garage that they're putting up for somebody, and, they've only got like 16 kids in the class, so it's a slow process, the kids are learning, and, you know, they work very slowly, so, he said that we're way behind, so I,
Do you actually have a plan for them?
no,
Is there-
they do the whole thing. I mean, the brackets that we want made, they're gonna give that to the metal shop,
Advanced
and the kids are gonna,
manufacturing. Yeah, I just
kids are gonna
didn't know- I
do
just
it, you
didn't
know,
know if
that,
they had a plan.
it's a good learning thing for
Oh, yeah.
all of them, you know?
Right.
So, but it's still a go, but it's not gonna happen in the immediate future.
Okay. Softball field shed was voted down by the select board. They don't feel we need it because we have one there. So, I guess we table that until the time comes where that other one.
What, did you
We
ever
actually
talk
need
to Pat about it on CPC money?
I didn't because, we went to go the free cash route instead.
No, but I mean, would they be willing to look at it?
As long as it's used for only park stuff and nothing else.
That's all it's gonna be used for.
So the concern is I believe that the select board could still vote it down.
Is part of it that it's phase 2 of the Pride Park thing? Is that like, is that
There's
wrapped up in
part of
that?
it-
Is that
Part
why
of it
there's-
is that, and, you know, so this current plan has that shed being torn down,
Because you need
Because-
it for parking.
parking
Yeah.
and and space like
Accessibility.
that.
Yeah,
There's a particular select board member who seems to have two other select board members' ears, so whatever he says, the other two vote for, and then, so he basically gets to decide what happens. So when he says we don't want, we already have a shed, we don't need to spend this money for another one, it gets voted down.
Okay. Where was the location of the new one gonna go?
Well, I wanted it closer to the first base dugout so
Yeah.
that when the users use it, because this select board member has never used it to the best of my knowledge, because he has 3 sons. And as someone who used that field for a good 8 years coaching, realized what it was like to lug a pitching machine out, lug out.
Oh, from
all the
there
bases
over to
From
the
there,
thing,
the
get out of
bases,
here.
the
Yeah.
mining machine, the equipment,
Yeah.
raking the
It needs
fields.
to be moved.
It would be
Yeah.
really nice and
If it was
much.
right next to the
If it
field.
was right
Yeah.
near the field.
Yeah, of course,
So,
yeah.
in any case, I think unfortunately, we need to just kind of table it because, we have more important things to
Yeah.
deal with.
Fair enough.
And if the time comes when we go to do phase 2 and that building's gonna be removed, I want the shed in place ahead of time. This is kind of, was our attempt at
makes
being a
sense.
little
Yeah.
proactive.
Yeah, yeah.
So what, not to get off the subject, but the phase 2 project, how long, what are you gonna wait until the phase 1 is done?
Yeah, we need to scrap the
So
whole
we're-
phase
we're
2
gonna be out,
thoughts
yeah.
until we have phase 1. Which is what I said in the beginning
You're
when
gonna
they.
have phase
That's
6.
why I used trouble.
Phase
Well,
six.
this is
what he was saying.
this is what I said a year ago when they wanted to go in October, and then we went to go in May, and by the time, and we never got prices in time for May. And in May, a shovel happened, so we cannot concentrate on phase 2 at all until we get a playground that's open.
Yeah,
So that means that the importance of the softball shed is more of a nice to have instead of a, we need this.
it's critical.
So that's dead for now. So there's a good possibility it'll be a lot more money by the time we go do it. So instead of spending the money that we do have now, on something that we will eventually need and we'll
Yeah.
be able to put to good use, we'll just pay more for it later.
Okay then.
So
Noted.
the water bill money, I've had communications, I believe that it's all set, it's going in a budget fix
It's
to.
one item, 24,000.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, they hook them together.
The
According to-
irrigation thing too?
Yeah, according
Okay.
to Leslie, they hook them together.
Alright, fine.
So it's
So there'll
just
be, which is good, so it's gonna be, there's, I don't know if it's one vote, there's many budget fixes, is it all one vote?
Yeah, I think it is. 'Cause
So
it's all
there's a
one,
bunch
it's
of
all one
budget
article,
fixes. So the good thing is
unless somebody decides to say something about it and they want it done separately,
they would have to,
they'd have to take a
issue
vote
an
on it
amendment,
and.
issue an amended,
yeah, right.
amended vote, yeah. An amendment to the article.
But it's gonna pass. I don't think it has any problems passing.
Yeah. So we'll be good with that, which means it won't deplete our account or our DPW account.
Right.
And our account, because that would take everything that we have, basically.
Definitely.
And then once we get the new irrigation system, we should not have this issue next year.
Now, I got a new quote, and the quote is still the same,
Okay.
and the lead time is 20 weeks. It went up, it was up to like 26 weeks, but it's down to 20 now. I
So
hope it
we
keeps
could
going
order
the
it
other
now,
way.
right? Because
Well,
regardless, we have the money in our account.
I talked to Leslie, and what she suggested we do, but it's only, what,
It's only
2 weeks to
now,
town
yeah.
meeting?
Yeah,
She suggested that we buy it out of Kevin's line item. And then when he gets to 24, if it passes, that 4 would go back into his line item. But the problem is, if it doesn't pass,
Well, if it doesn't pass, we need to buy this anyway.
right, so I mean, we can either order it now or we can wait until after town meeting.
We just wait the 2 weeks, I guess. Would it be beneficial and would there be a cost difference to run it at 3-phase?
It's running at 3-phase.
It is?
Yeah. What this
We
panel
don't
is,
we don't have a 3-phase,
it's a single-phase panel. It's running off the single phase that comes into the snack shack,
okay,
but the panel itself boosts it up to 3-phase,
okay.
and that runs the motor.
So there's no
That's
need,
why it's so expensive.
so there's
If we
no
would-
need to change the panel to 3-phase in the
If we
snack
could-
shack?
No, I talked to John about that, and he said,
Okay.
you're crazy. He said, it's gonna cost you $3,500 to do that.
All right.
But there is a difference in the panels. I mean, the panel that we're buying right now is $3,200. And the panel that's three-phase, built as a three-phase panel, is just $2,400. So it's like a $700, $800
All right, so we're
difference.
paying a little bit more for the three-phase
Yeah.
one, but
Yeah.
it's cheaper than converting everything to three-phase.
Right.
Okay.
Did you get all that, Lynn?
Article on the town warrant for funding for the, yeah.
That's all you
There's
need.
a lot of phase talk here.
The dimming of the court lights was done.
No, I actually followed the phase.
Yeah.
That I did.
Woodland renovation, I think we table until we're done with Mixter and Pride Park. I don't think we should be looking at taking on new projects as important as it is. It's not gonna fall off our radar, cause we know that, it needs to be done.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Any objections?
Yes, but I'm gonna go with the rest of them.
Soccer nets at Woodland, are we gonna buy new ones?
We should.
How much are they, you know, Paul?
I think we checked into it, Keith's looking into it for me.
Okay.
Who's he looking at, you know?
He,
We have an
He's
account
looking
with
BSN.
CSN.
BSN, he's looking at BSN, he's looking at soccer.com. The last ones we ordered, they were blue, they're kind of that purple color now. I think they were $800 for those two nets,
For the pair.
for the pair.
It's not bad.
No. But the big nets, they actually got up and used because the high school had the middle school had a soccer game there.
Good thing we got that one back
It's
together
a good
again.
thing you got that one back
They
together.
just barely got it done.
I know.
Did he have Oceanic come?
I rode around with that corner in the back of my van for probably a month, and I finally got sick of it, and I dumped it on Derek, and he must have gone right up and put it up.
Well, all I
because-
know is they were up and running,
Yeah,
and the kids moved all the nets, so.
you know what we should do at
Or-
some point in time? We should have, and you put that on the DPW list, all of those big goals have wheels on them.
They're just not maintained.
They're not maintained, they need to be adjusted, some of them are bent, they can
So
bend
what-
them back.
But what the problem is, and Keith and I have tried, and I have an impact wrench, I can't get, it's
Oh, you just
so
break it.
rusty. I mean, we're gonna have to cut the brackets off with a
Yeah.
cut-off
You
wheel.
cut the U-bolts and
Yeah.
and just get
Yeah,
new ones,
put new
that's
ones
all.
on. That's
My
all.
suggestion is, instead of U-bolting them, because when you U-bolt them, they twist, bolt them right through the frame. That way they can't move.
Just drill a big
Just
hole.
drill a big hole right through and put a bolt in,
Might
two
not be a
bolts,
Bad idea.
or whatever you need.
What's it, a wheel attached to a bracket?
So, and it's a funky looking bracket, it's like a U, it's
Can
a,
we have the bracket welded to the thing
well,
and then just?
it's a metal bracket and it's an aluminum frame.
Oh.
So,
Easy to
I
bolt
don't know
in.
how you,
But they're all bent, they need to be, you have
Yeah.
to take them down and heat them up with a torch and bend them
Right.
back and then put them back on. And, I mean, there's nothing wrong with them, they just need to
No.
be.
and another bolt put in, so when you swing the wheel around, it actually hits the right spot.
Yeah,
It's just,
there's a stop and.
they just haven't been maintained.
No, it's like everything else.
Run on neglect.
All right, well, so
Can you put that on the list for,
who do you wanna have do it?
DPW.
DPW?
I think that's how that one got broken. They tried to move it and it couldn't do it with a wheel, so they tried to manhandle it and it,
Years past, I haven't seen it since, they used to push them with the lawnmowers.
yeah, the guys on the DPW, yeah. That's the easy way of doing it. But the
With-
And they
wheels,
would, they wouldn't,
They
flip-
wouldn't, and they wouldn't move the
They wouldn't-
sandbags either.
and they wouldn't flip the wheels, they just hit.
well, the wheels, they were useless.
Right.
But
Oh, no,
why
I know,
didn't they
I
fix
know
them?
the sandbags were an issue all the time, they hated moving the sandbags. And then we'd get yelled at for not having sandbags on the,
Yeah,
on the
but
nets.
the referees,
No, by, you know.
So what, the soccer nets, I mean, it's
Those, so the
October
ones, we can get them for spring.
for spring,
Yeah.
okay.
They're fine for right now.
you
They're gonna
wanna get them now?
No, they're gonna make it through the fall.
Okay.
Keith and I
Alright.
repaired them, they're all set
We'll
for the
talk
fall.
about it again in the spring.
Yeah, we'll get them for the spring.
Well, I was gonna say, we can get them now and put them away, and
I'd say we order
there's
them
somebody working on
over
it?
winter.
Okay.
We have all the dimensions, Keith's working on it, yeah. But he was looking at 3 different places, he's just, you know.
PSN, I found
So
them to be
maybe,
cheapest.
maybe it would be best is if when Keith brings, forward the permit in
for spring.
the spring in what, February?
Right.
That he asks for them.
For 'em then.
So if he puts
Yep.
it on the permit,
Yep,
it'll be a good way, a reminder of us to get them.
right,
Do you see him?
yep,
Tell him when he calls BSN to, tell them that we got an account there.
Okay.
They give us a hell of a discount.
And we won't pay tax.
okay. Well, we
Yeah,
don't either.
we already have a
Oh.
tax certificate with
Or
it.
they don't either.
They already have the tax certificate, so it's,
The only thing I have left is the football field snack shack. We talked about doing AZACs or something.
I think we gotta wait for the water bill. I
Okay.
would say.
Okay.
I mean,
Actually, it looks really good. I
It
mean-
does look good. I think we could
Yeah.
probably get away with not doing anything this year.
He's
and
talking
maybe do-
about the,
Oh, I know what he's talking about.
deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And-
it does look pretty good
And
the
the
way
other
it
thing
is.
it needs, that second floor door, the whole frame is rotted out on it. It needs to be replaced.
So we should look at doing that in the spring, because, I mean, you only have until the end of
I
November,
was thinking
so.
about if we got the guys from the Volk School and having them look at it.
All right,
He was gonna do the work volunteer though, wasn't he?
I don't know, maybe,
I think he was.
possibly, but we'd have to buy the
That's the way he
material.
explained it to me. We'd have to buy the material, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, well, I got that quote from him, which probably isn't gonna be valid
Well,
by the
what
time
we
go
need to
do
do
it.
is we need to measure it up and it's very easy to do that. And then we'll go down to Beacon and I'll get some.
That was a
prices
little
down
bit
there.
more than, that quote had a little bit more than just replacing like the deck and stuff like that.
Some-
Oh, that was, the side deck, yes, and then also I wanted to have, the serving area replaced, cause right now it's wooden painted. and AZAC
That should be AZAC.
AZAC would be really nice, cause it's easier to
Easy
clean,
to
and it'll
clean.
last much longer.
Water can sit on it and not rot.
Right.
That board that's there now is pressure treated. I put that in when I rebuilt that wall. So it's, I mean, it's not gonna rot, but it needs to be repainted
Yeah,
every
right.
once in a while.
All right, any, well, Gary's not here for open space. Parks facility, we haven't met since the updates on Mixter. And CPC basically was, yeah, I
Meet when we have to.
think that's all we have for committee updates. Any member requests?
I got a few things that I'd like to discuss. I got another application of fertilizer coming up in November. Normally, we put down CalMax, which is like a lime type thing. But last year, we had some soil tests done, and we were right up there as far as lime goes. So what we did was we put down another, like a winterizing fertilizer. And that's what Jim Favreau, who's the rep for Arrows, is recommending this year, I believe. He hasn't gotten back to me yet, but I think that's the way he's thinking.
We gonna do it in-house or have it done by them?
We'll do it in-house. We put it down in late October, early November, so shouldn't be a
Okay.
problem. At least I hope it won't be a problem. He's also gonna put together a.
So what do you want me to tell Kevin? You're gonna wait?
I gotta talk to Kevin on the paint that they charge
All right, so you'll
for
take
the
care of the
highway, and I'll talk
fertilizer
to him
stuff?
about this to let him know it's coming.
All right,
He's putting together a program for next year, Jim is. And he's telling me that the prices are still going up. I didn't know at the time we had enough money in our account, but do we want to go ahead and do what we did last year and order our first application?
yeah, I
now
mean,
and bring it in?
well, talk to Kevin because he's been managing the budget. He actually increased it this past year.
Yeah, but if we can save some money, why not do it?
Yeah, I know, but
What was it?
let him do it. Let him manage it.
What, the fertilizer?
Ordering it and stuff, yeah.
Well, can do that too.
But you could tell him
Just hope
about it,
Just
but,
hope it gets done.
yeah, all right.
I'll talk to him about it. That was all I had.
Okay. Anybody else? Anything you wanna
Oh,
bring?
I got one other thing you can add to the list. Up on Newton Street, the dead end,
Yeah,
right just past where the entrance is to that area where they put all the mulch from Pride Park. There's a pine tree over there that's dead in the doornail and it's leaning like this over the road. Sooner or later, that thing is gonna come down, and I hope it doesn't come down on some kid's car. But it needs to be taken care of.
okay.
And I had asked them about it once before, and I think he must have forgotten about it, because they did do some cutting up there, and it didn't get done.
All right.
That's it.
What's the plan for that mulch that's up there?
You wanna buy it?
Oh,
Decomposition.
is that a compost pile now?
I told him to spread it around the field and kill the poison ivy.
12 inches.
Yeah, I'm serious when I say
I
that.
know,
There's enough of
the
it.
jail was gonna do it. We,
I don't think we got enough to cover the whole field with
And
it,
12
12
inches,
inches,
yeah.
but
all right, November.
you want me to tell Kevin that? I mean, they go up there with a front end loader and just, they'll
I
plow
guess,
it
no, I
around.
didn't know if there was
I don't think
a
they have
need
any
for
plan
it somewhere, or,
No. I'm told you can sell it overseas, but I don't think you're gonna get a whole hell of a lot for it.
so I can't do, can you do the first? You wanna do November 1st?
I can do the first.
November 1st is a Tuesday. That actually,
Yeah.
Is that it?
yeah,
7?
that's 7, somewhere in this building. All right,
The acoustics up here are way better than Market.
but they were?
Yeah, I couldn't hear you guys when we were up here before.
Oh,
Wonder if it's because of the rug.
maybe. Motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Take a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Get it off.